Hello, folks. Welcome to this episode of On the Board. Um, this time around, I don't really. I'm not really going to demonstrate, anything that's in progress. I just finished something that took me quite a while to do. I got carried away with it, so I didn't break it down into any sort of stages. So there's going to be less of that sort of explanation behind it. But basically, what you're looking at is what is that anyway? Is that 11 by 17, whatever? I can't. 11 by 18, something like that. The paper itself, I got from the office supply store that I usually go to tickle up some photocopies and stuff. I've talked about that sort of thing before. So it's really garbage paper, for one thing. But you know, again, it's another demonstration of so what. Your supplies aren't shit. You know, it's what you're putting on there. But anyway, this is a was a penciled work, a rough sketch. I inked over it with India ink, some Sharpies, a couple of microns, and also went in with something I explained or expressed or introduced some people to. That's the markers, your black markers that begin to dry out. You keep them, and you can um, brush in dry this gray mid-tone value, right? And even actually some of the darker parts in here where it blends away, where it modulates, and up in here in the ear and stuff. That's actually, after the feathering and the tighter black inks are done, that wash of black is actually, it was done with well, actually it's right here. I think let's see. I put things. Sorry, bear with me. I pushed everything out of the way to get this up. um, hmm. Well, one second. Yeah, that was done with like what, a big old, you know, magic marker kind of thing. Is not really used for art at all, but it's also drying out. And so I use that to portion out some of the black. This idea with the drying markers for skin tones with black and white ink drawings works spectacularly. I'm finding that out now, and I'm starting to, um, you know, explore it and see what I can come up with and what I can utilize it. You can keep that in your bag of tricks if you want. If you don't, I don't really care. Um, just some background on this one. Um, this, the reason I was saying that this on board episode would be, well, I mean, the difference between this is something that I got on and simply just didn't stop until it was finished, right? So it wasn't broken down into segments. Um, and I did something I hadn't done in quite a while, and that is, the all nighter. Um, Before I get into what this one's about and what's going to happen to it and all that, let me just say that it was a couple nights ago. This was something that I needed to get done, right? And I was procrastinating. But it's not just about me this time. So I'll explain that a little later. But right now, just know that it was about 2 days ago that I decided that this picture of, well, you'll recognize as Doctor Strange. It was going to be, this particular picture was going to be more representative of the movie character rather than the comic books. Now, I'm going to do a few more. I've got about 3 others that I want to do of this character, and then I'll set that aside probably for a while. It depends on how things go. Um, but there was a reason why this character was picked. Um, it was before Christmas, actually. At least a couple of months before, in the mid fall, I would say. Um, I was on my way to just choring it out, on my way to the office supply store where I sometimes tickle up some photocopies to do the amendment stuff that I told you about on the self-indulgence series and that sort of thing. Um, Copying some of the finished works to shrink down and put into a binder as, portfolio style, that sort of thing. Whatever, just making one of the many trips. And I bumped into a neighbor with her son, and, she was asking me all these questions, like, where are you going? What are you doing? What this? It was actually to the point where I had actually verbally said, none of your business. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted to be social, but I was getting grumpy because, something should be said about social intrusion and our modern day and age sometimes. There are things, there are entitlements people take socially with, what do you call it? Social liberties people take as a, what do you call it, a like an entitlement. People have changed so much, that old rules about considerations and prying just don't apply anymore. The idea of the art of minding your own goddamn business has gone right out the fucking window. It really has. And there is a younger generation, never mind some of the adults that take part in this kind of activity, that aren't even aware about it. But that's a whole different topic altogether. But anyway, at the same time, her son, they were coming back from the school. And she would walk over and walk him back from school. And I was asking him, hey, who's your favorite character? Because I'd like to draw you a picture, right? And he looked up and he put his finger to his mouth like he was, really thoughtful about this. And he said, I think Doctor Strange, right? And I thought, ooh, Doctor Strange, eh? And I reflected and I realized, I don't think I had ever drawn Doctor Strange. And actually, as far as drawing goes, I've seen some great original black and white pen and ink work that's just spectacular. And there's a lot to draw where he's concerned. Now this is a headshot. It doesn't show much of his costume. But the comic book character is someone I'll be conquering soon in a few drawings. I don't know if I'm going to go by way of swipes or what do you call it? Inspirations from comic books or that sort of thing. I'm going to have to go through my stuff and figure that out. I've got some ideas. I think I've hit about 3 of them, whether those will be the 3 or not. Anyway, what happened was time went by and I never got around to it. I was doing art and I was producing a lot of things, but I hadn't gotten around to that little boy's drawing. Then I got this idea. I said, well, Christmas is going to be next week. Maybe I could sit down and do that. It never happened. And then we're into the new year and I thought, well, it could have been nice if you left that picture for him as a Christmas present. What the hell, right? And it didn't happen. And I'm thinking, if you don't get down and just do this, you're never going to get around to doing it. And there were many thoughts and ideas and motivations as to why I wanted to do this. And I'll get into that a little bit later too, I guess. Or it'll probably be covered in this video. I'll just briefly explain that. But before I do, know that, yeah, it was a couple of days ago I said, sit down and get this stuff ready. So I got a few preliminary drawings ready. And I think a lot of people will recognize this, profile picture as one of the promotional photos from the movie that took place not too long ago. And I was going through a graphic novel which had several comic books inside it, but it had some pictures of the character. Two, I think. Two? One where he's juggling like lightning, electricity, and the other one was just a profile picture. And I thought, oh great, a profile picture, that'll be great, because whereas I'm going to be doing pen and ink drawing, I just like, if I'm going for the movie version because I know that's what he's from. Okay, let's just back up. Went with the idea with the movie version for one obvious reason, and that's because being a kid in 2024, 2025, in the, just in the 2000 century, you're probably more familiar with the characters of the movies you've seen. Marvel has produced some pretty spectacular movies, got to admit, right? The effects and stuff, what they can accomplish now is just incredible. But he'd be more familiar with that than the comic books themselves. So I said, you gotta, if you're gonna do this, it's gotta be the movie version. So I was like, okay, great. I looked at it and I said, well, it's not perfect to the picture, but I said to myself, well, look, you can get the hairdo. It doesn't look the same as the photo, folks. You probably recognize the photo. You can check yourself. But it's got, I went for the do, got the do basically down. It's not the same, but the shape, the idea is it. But the important thing was the contour of the nose and stuff to get a likeness, so you could at least say, yeah, it kind of fits the character, whatever. And I think I was partially successful with that. And I thought, okay, great, right? But that's all I had really, was that rough side portrait of there. What do you call that? Contour drawing? What? Profile. Right? And all the rest that would be filled in, I didn't know. That wasn't planned out. It was crazy. I'm like thinking, okay, you want to get two hands in there and you want him wielding some sort of energy. You want some sort of illuminated globe harnessing light, textured energy, whatever, etc. I just lost it. And I'll tell you, when the muses get down and they're going to polish your knob, you got to understand that. You got to be grateful and go with it. And remember, you don't mess with those bitches either, though. The muses, they'll screw you over. It's all metaphorical. Don't even ask. I'm just talking about when it comes to the creativity, you got to go with it. And so after I got my drawing, and I started, well, okay, let's figure this out. Okay, we'll do globe, and then we'll put in the hands here. I don't know what's the position of the hands. Okay, we're gonna go for that generic pose. And the other one will be like trying to clutch the ball, sort of thing. And we'll have some shards of textured light that almost looks like, I don't know, a schematic of a I can't tell you all the things that were going through my head. And there was a point in time where as I was embellishing the background with this texture, it's not quite Kirby Crackle, but it's basic principle of texture. Some of it was put in with a paintbrush. Some of it was put in with a tech pen. I just went and went. I was thinking as I was going. I was going as I was thinking. And I'll tell you, folks, like, must have been, I guess, about 7:30ish. I started on it, and it took me right through the night. It was 9:30 when I pulled myself away from the drawing, which wasn't completed, and I collapsed in the morning. Slept half the day away. Got up today like 3 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to finish this thing. So I did go out and take care of a few chores. I had a few bills to pay, a couple of things to pick up, and I came back and just sat and finished it. Now, there are a few spots that I have to go over. I got to tickle up a few things. I was looking at this, and I thought, there's a few spots I'm going to touch up a bit, but it's done, really. Practically done. Oh, and by the way, see this thing here? This is that thing I told you about. It's the flexi curve, Looks like a rule. It is, but, you can bend it to all kinds of shapes and stuff to drawing curves and stuff. Cost me 13 and change plus tax from my local art store, but I finally got one, and I'm hoping it will last me a while. Definitely come in handy, because curves are tough. I have ellipse stencils or templates, whatever you want to call them, and circles too, but they're not huge. They're not big ones. This is for the bigger curves, And basically, most of the line work I'll be doing is probably not going to be much bigger than this, I would imagine. Anyway, enough for that. So, yeah, I decided, okay, I'm going to, I am pleased with this. I think it's great. I mean, this is going to sound strange, folks, but I don't know what's going on. It's my motivation to get it done, and for the reasons I wanted to get it done, seem to have affected the work. There's something going on here, folks. There's something going on. Everyone's at different levels in their like, you can continue to develop, but that's the one message I'm going to tell. You can continue to improve if you get the right mindset. But if you're going around just comparing your work to everyone else's and stuff, and being a douchebag about it, telling everybody, oh, it's a matter of time, the kind, right? You get these people that it's like they're like, I can't draw eyes. I can't draw noses. I can't draw mouths. But I'll do a sketchbook of all headshots, of all the eyes, noses, and mouths that I can't draw. All the characters look the same, but, if I keep doing it, I'll just get better. No, you won't. No, you won't. You know why you won't? Because you don't fucking care. You don't care about the fucking drawing like you've... It's like, I think there's a part of some people's brain where they tell themselves, oh, yes, I want to become a better... But no, not really. Not fucking really. They're just more concerned with their channel. I'm convinced of this. And that's for you, PD. I'm sorry, bud, but you're full of shit, man. And you're talking all that garbage behind people's backs. You'll admire someone's skill or art, and you want to do it and render it, and you want to be it. Yeah, you're a real wannabe, sure. Yeah, but you don't listen. Because you're one of those too fucking cool for school guys. Right? The thing is, you can do it. But you don't want to put in the work. You don't want to learn. You don't want to study. You think it's all just like jacking off or something. You sit around and just do whatever you doodle, and eventually it's going to... No. If you get to a point where you're like looking at your work and you say, well, I can't draw these things. Well, I guess I'm not that talented. Well, then you fucking... How do you think these guys... Okay, my attitude's been a little bit different because, I mean, a lot of the guys that influenced my work are from, the bronze era of comic books, where most of those guys were training in school as young men to be illustrators, whether it was line work or watercolor. Illustrators, meaning you had to learn how to draw everything, and that's why they could. They weren't born just learn. They just knew how to do things. Everyone has strong points when it comes to their art. They can do this, but they can't do that so well. But everyone has the ability to sit down and say, you know what? Like I was messaging or texting this on someone else's channel today, saying that, for myself, like back in the day, I'd occasionally draw in horses for some of my pictures, barbarian stuff and that kind of thing. And I'd go by a basic concept that sat with me and my imagination to get me through the drawing, right? So, you'd look at it and they look like a horse's, right? But I never did a study of horses, which means that you take 2 weeks or whatever, and take, 3 days out of each of those weeks or whatever, your sit down points, maybe 3 times a week, and just study horses and just doodle horses. But you're not just doodling, you're looking at actual references. You know what I mean? So stupid. I remember going to... there was a gallery situation where a friend of mine was in, and we were having a discussion. He was talking about how someone in his circle around the gallery was being accused or I don't know, discussed. People had this disdain because he was using photographs. No. He wasn't tracing them. You know what I mean? He wasn't, he wasn't lightboxing or something like that. No. He was just using a photo as a reference. Right? It's like, but, that's the real thing, though. Right? But, like, well, what's more real than a photo? The real thing. You're drawing that. Oh, but that's okay. But a photo, no. What are you talking about? Like, there's this foolishness in certain parts of the artistic communities where the people are stupid enough to believe that everything a person that draws is just, it's just going to spring out of his imagination, his mind, and come out of his hand magically because he's more talented than they are. Wow. No, dipshits. You had to sit there and learn these things. Like, I mean, look at the Renaissance masters. Like, look at Leonardo's drawings, or Michelangelo's, even his sketches of the human figure and stuff. They had to sit down and study these things. And a lot of their drawings were based on the paintings that were going to render. They'd say, okay, well, I needed this pose, so I got to do these loose sketches, and they'd study the intricacies of the musculature and anatomy and stuff. Studies. That's what they are. They're studies. See, it's not all fun. A lot of things to do with art or work. An actual discipline, studies to learn how to do it. Then you learn how to do it, and it doesn't leave you. But you're just going to sit there and, I can draw these really good, so I'll do 50,000 of them. And, the other stuff that I need to learn how to do will just fall on my lap. No, forget it. You're done. You're toast. You might as well be weaving baskets or, making macaroni paintings and stuff. Right? And a lot of these people are intelligent people, but they won't be practical about the art that they're trying to master. But anyway, going off on a rave again. And PD, stop bullshitting with your stories about the markers and stuff. I see right through what you're doing. The metaphor I used about the Aunt Sally bringing the markers, there you go, Johnny, and all that, had nothing to do with you. And everything to do with you. It has to do with a certain type of individual that I'm well aware of, that I've met over the years so many times before. And they plant themselves in that position and they don't progress. You got to be basically showering them with compliments for shitty art, or they're not happy. Come and tell them, oh, this is how you do it, and that, don't even bother. They got this complex where they'll admire artists, but they can't wait to tear them down. Just total pieces of shit. Don't feel sorry for these people. Don't. Because a lot of the hard time they may have had when they were kids or whatever, you know what? It starts panning out and they start reflecting that in adulthood and it starts coming out in a rather malicious way. And they start hurting other people. And it forms their character. And don't be fooled by, shortcomings or weaknesses or impediments or any of that bullshit, okay? Some of those people that are afflicted with these types of hardships are actually go on, and I'm not talking, how am I going to say it? A lot of these people are just despicable characters. For whatever reason. And, I'm telling you folks. And the other thing, while I'm at it, I may as well do this upright. Do you remember this one back in the day? Someone getting up there and going, oh yeah, with their Bern Hogarth books, right? And with their pencil out, and they open it up and they're explaining to you all the shit they don't fucking know what they're talking about. Let me tell you something about these books. I got these in, must have been 2001, 2002. I was inspired to sit down, got a new drawing table stuff, and started trying to get back into it, started submitting more work and stuff, etc., etc. I picked up these books thinking, yeah, dynamic figure drawing, are you kidding? But two things about that I'm going to tell you right away. First of all, look at this fucking half a fag. I'm sorry, but what the hell is that? A paper doll on hinged joints? Oh yeah, real graceful. He looks ridiculous. And Bern Hogarth, with all his ideas about anatomy and figure drawing, let me tell you something. A lot of his contemporaries that he was preaching to and he was criticizing and stuff couldn't stand his bullshit. And, they'd look at his work from Tarzan, etc., what have you, and say, well, yeah, he's to be respected. He's in the rock and roll stew of comic book artists and stuff. But they were all saying, like, I'm sorry, for all his knowledge, his figures look graceless. They look stiff and dumb. They don't look like people. They look like, I don't know, like, toy action figures or something. It's shit. Don't waste your time with it. In fact, I'll tell you, and I'm just putting that up there because it's just another case of someone getting up there and talking about shit they never even studied. They bought the books and the books probably fucking sat on their shelf all the while. They're just full of shit, okay? Now, I'll tell you, one of the books that I did find was worthwhile, I did not buy, but I made photocopies of it. It took me a long time, too, because I did every damn photocopy. It cost me a fortune. But it was Hogarth's book on hands. Yeah, you want to try and your luck at drawing, you get into hands and feet, okay? Then you're fucking cooking with gas, baby. But I'll tell you, you know what? I learned more, and I found something much more helpful than Hogarth's books. And I'll tell you, it's a very simple book. If you find it, pick one up. I'll show you what it is. That's this boy right here. Jack Ham's Drawing the Head in Figure. 1963, a classic. I got my first copy of this. It was in a basement book sale in a warehouse back in the top of the late 80s. In 89, I was there with my wife. I used to get books that way. But anyway, I'm telling you folks, especially for, line work and cartoon work, he's right there. That's all you need. I mean, there were particular things I was interested in. Profile from the side, looking on, that kind of thing in the head. Let's see, what else? Right, and there they do. They do the proportions of the male and female figures and stuff, and it's very basic stuff, but I found it more comprehensive and easier to practice. It will funnel you into the fundamentals. Okay? Don't get too carried away with it, though. Like sitting down with it like it's a textbook and you have to, pass an exam. Keep drawing what you're drawing. And here we go with perspective in the figure, foreshortening, etc. Right? There was one thing here I was interested in very much. There was something I was ignoring that I knew, hey, you know what? I got to pay attention to this. Okay, and then here's a study of the hands, right? But no, there was a portion here, hands in action, right? Basic poses, a good array of them, What else? No, there was something. Okay, here we go. This is what I was very much concerned with this. And I love this shot of the knee here. Don't know if you can make that out. It's, the knee facing, showing the bones of the knee more than anything, I guess you could say. I found that I was really interested. The Hogarth, good luck with that. Hogarth made his mark in comics, and then he decided to make a bunch of books to, hey, more power to him. He sold books and stuff. I don't think they're very... I never found Hogarth very helpful. And many of the contemporary cartoonists and comic book artists at the time had that to say, that they didn't find his stuff. And I don't know if he got that bad opinion of him from them because of him mouthing off and criticizing people. I don't. It's possible that might have sparked it, but I had to agree with them that, his figures and stuff just weren't graceful at all. So again, it's Jack Ham's Drawing the Head in Figure, 1963. If you can get a copy, go ahead and get one. My first copy ended up, I went to my cousin's out in the country for a bit. This was years ago. Around, must have been 1992, I think. And she loved the book. I brought it with me, and I ended up just leaving it there. As kind of like a gift or whatever. And then I had already been through it thoroughly. But I did tend to miss it later. And then later in a thrift store, I found another copy, and I just knew I had to grab it up. So I got another copy of it. Yeah, but it's worthwhile, folks. I mean, it's good stuff. And, you'll find it a bit more helpful anyway. But what do I know, right? Anywho, This one, yeah, it's with the Indian ink. It kind of, it bowed the paper a bit, and it's contracting. It's that sort of thing. You can't avoid it. But when I flatten this out and I get some photocopies in, it'll smoothen right out. And the photocopies, you know, really do your original work justice. But this original, as good as it is and as good as it turns out, I'm going to give to that boy. Just give it to him. All that labor and stuff. I'm so, I love it. I love the way it turned out. But I'm going to give it to him. It means something. And I'm going to step back and watch for the effect. And see if he shows the interest. How do I put this? The kid is at that age, at that pivotal age, between 9 and 11, when these things hit and they inspire. It's that time, And it either happens or it doesn't for a boy about to draw. And don't give me this, or girl, stuff. Whatever. I wasn't trying to be inclusive or exclusive. Just give me a break. I'm not here for you. I'm here for me. Sorry. Excuse-moi. And, my videos aren't about a channel. You notice I never ask anyone to like or subscribe. And I just want to take the time to say that I certainly appreciate the people that do. I appreciate the fact that for one reason or another, they found some of the things I was sharing enjoyable and interesting, and they wanted to continue. I don't know. Sometimes I think people join for my mouthiness when I get online and I'm commenting. I do appreciate that, but I'm telling you that I have no ambitions about building up a channel. If I did, I'd be in front of the camera selling myself, like many of these artists are doing. They're not producing shit, but you know what I mean? They're going to tell you. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But, my thing is about getting a lot of this stuff out while I can. I got to go, folks. And before I do, I'm trying to squeeze it off, and something's happening. The work's improving crazily. Like, this isn't like the simple brushed line cartoon tribute I was doing to the Crayon Spider-Man stuff. This is it's a bit more elaborate. This stuff here is both my curse as well as my strength. It's my curse because it's like comic book line work that, if you want to get a job in comic books, doing panel after panel, this, this is done without any computer enhancement. I'm not working from a Mac, folks. I'm working with pencils, inks, a pen, that's it, okay? And where am I going with this? I'm putting it up there to show what can be done, okay? And how they did do it before. I think the things that are coming down the pipe through AI and stuff, I don't want to be another doom and gloom guy. I think people should, embrace the enthusiasm of, utilizing all the tools that are available to them. I just wish people were a bit more honest about what they're doing. I don't know how valuable people are going to find skills of artists anymore. I don't really, at this point in my life, it's not really my concern, but I hope that, just like I hope other things are sustained, like literature, which is also dying, becoming garbage fantasy and stupid series writing and just ridiculous woke culture crap, and like it just, you know. We got to return to this boys club. Sorry to say it, but we just do, and you know, it's sort of like if how do I put it? If people like, if there's a certain group of people that say, you know what, how come some of the characters you're doing aren't female, or they aren't black, or they aren't this or that or whatever, and it's not very inclusive. Well, you know what? Those people, whoever they are, they need to produce work. Because otherwise, what are you talking about? You look for a handout? What are you saying? You can't create? Give us creations? You know what? Fuck you. No one owes you a fucking thing. In this day and age of entitlement, victim culture is just making my stomach sick. I don't care. It's not going to change. It is getting never mind. But you know, I want to get the stuff out there in the sense that I want to show people how they can do it. Right? I don't care if people want to rip my ideas, look at something, steal from me, and I know people are. I've been watching you, fuckface. Fucking ridiculous. Can't even think for your own self. Never mind the fucking art. Fuck you. Getting sick of it. And then you stoop to a even lower and start making up stories to try and promote hate against someone who disagreed with you. Coming from a guy who hacks people on their computer and watches them while they're sleeping. You're a douchebag. You're full of shit, and you're so pragmatic and soulless that you think, and dedicated to your channel, which is okay, but you're willing to do you're soulless about it. And you're not going to become a better artist because those likes and subscribes have got your heart and soul wrapped in barbed wire, bud. You're not going to escape it. Just stop being a fake and start being honest with yourself. And stop, you know, right? If someone comes on your channel and they're there to tear you out a new asshole and you're aware of it, you don't appreciate it, they come and they get on there and they say, you know, that drawing you're doing, it looks like it's drawn by a child. Okay, that's not very nice, whatever. But they're actually just ragging you out because they feel like you contributed to the downfall and actual tragedy of someone last year with your big mouth contributing. Not the only one. But they start talking about that. And the person is, I don't know, maybe 20 years older than you. Maybe more. It's old school. Maybe he's, I wouldn't say baby boomer, but just somewhere, just right in between baby boomer and Gen X or whatever. So he's not too tech savvy, right? He doesn't know how to navigate around, but he knows how to share his ideas and tell you what he thinks and prove to you why he believes he's right about a certain thing. And you invite him and you say, well, why don't you go live and we'll discuss it or whatever, because you want to humiliate him in front of other subscribers, whatever, or you at least want to try, right? And what do? You know the issue, you know the argument, but you walk around it. What do? When you find out he doesn't know how to go live with you on Zoom or anything or whatever, you laugh about it and you try and humiliate him for that. You don't even know how to do that. Like that's the issue. That's the problem I have with your generation, fuckhead. You're always missing the point. You know, the point is the issue to be debated, not who the person is or whether or not he knows how to use his fucking cell phone. You know? And that way, you humiliate him. You don't. It would have been easy for you to tell him, okay, here's what you do. You want to come on live with me and talk to me in front of my people? Here's what you do. You could have told him that. But no. was so much easier to just humiliate him so you'd never have to have that discussion. I see right through your shit. Don't give me this hater shit, because you just use that word as a tool. You're a shit talker, you're a wannabe, and you're a fucking phony bastard. You just straight up are. And that's what some of the individuals have said. Like, I don't really have a problem with you doing whatever you need to do to bolster your channel. I don't. That's great, but I'm just saying, people see through it. Why are you parading yourself as some sort of artist? You're not. And I'm not talking about whether you're good or bad or whatever. I'm just saying this because I'm a better artist than you. No, fuck. Dude, you're the kind of guy that I could sit down with and tell you how to do things. Exactly. But you wouldn't learn. Because you're too busy being fucking envious. You're too much of a thief at heart. With all your so-called friendliness, you're actually full of contempt. And you're full of shit. But you go on there. You just keep on keeping on. So yeah. The idea I want to get around to describing is that this isn't about me. I'm starting to realize that now. It's time to pass the torch. So just as much as this drawing be just given away, I'm just going to give it to the kid. One of the better works that I'll be putting in my portfolio. It's not about me. There's something bigger here. There's a bigger picture here. I want to appeal to that 9 to 13-year-olds, even the teens that were inspired, just as I was inspired. There's no, I can't describe the kind of enthusiasm, joy, and imagination that is felt at that certain point in a child's life when they tap into their creativity. And it can determine, if it's handled properly, it can determine that kid's future as an artist, as a great artist or as a bad one. And that's what I'm saying. If the situation presents itself, I'm going to try and teach that little guy everything I know. And then he can take it from there, and I don't know. Maybe this is just a redemption song. I don't even know. But when you're getting ready to go, it puts things in perspective. I see most people in my situation, they're in a panic to save their lives. What lives? I see it a bit differently. And life will go on. And there will be, if I have anything to say about it, some form of legacy that will go on. Like I said, it ain't about me. It ain't about a channel. I don't give a shit about that. And that's not to be misunderstood when my subscribers hear this. Like I said, I do appreciate that. I think it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, you look and you say, oh, so-and-so subscribed to your channel. You go, oh, look at that. It's always a good feeling. But it's not my goal. Monetary on. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong there either. I'm just saying it's not about that though. It's about putting these images up there, sharing, giving, learning. And hey, if I'm a fountain of it and it's just going to pour out, I'm going to let it pour. And I'm going to respect the muses. I have nothing, you know what I mean? Oh, God. I have nothing to prove, right? And another thing. You card shuffling cunts. Who the fuck are you calling fake? I've been doing this shit since I was 4 years old. Who the fuck are you? Bunch of low-class, gossiping fucking hens. You got it coming to you. You really do. You think you're divine? You're just dung beetles. You're low-life, gossiping pieces of shit. Tapped into scumbags who tap into people's phone conversations. Like, just gross. Socially. Representing a real problem. You're the fucking fake. You diseased witches. Go fuck yourself. Murdering cunts. Well, that was a bit harsh. But believe me, if people knew who I was talking to, you might excuse my little rant. Yeah. Fake. It's as real as it gets. You don't like it? Go ahead, squirm. Talk your crap. Take people down, one at a time. Make yourself feel like you're powerful. You're just maggots in carrion. You don't fool me. And you want to talk karma? What's coming your way for speeding arrows like that? You're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're in big trouble. Even more trouble. The other side of the veil. I'm in trouble myself. Takes one to know one. Believe me. And a lot of you, I'll be waiting for you there. But on this side of the veil, I'm hoping to do some good. And I've been taking some time to reflect and look back on some of the development and the history behind that development. Been doing some of it with members of my family too, with photographs and reflecting, and it's an amazing thing. Some of you that are gifted, like myself, with a really good memory, perhaps you got it from one of your parents or whatever. I found as I explored these things, and I spoke to actually recently my mom about some of these things, both of us would just remember more and more things attached to the stories we're getting. Like, it's just unbelievable how much has been retrieved. And that's what we are as people, We're all these stories. I'll tell you, you know what I mean? If a group of people ever come to you collectively and say, we want to hear your story, run. Okay, because the story they want and the idea that they're looking for comes from preconceived notions they had for years in the first place. They're not going to be much interested in the real deal. But that's not to say that it shouldn't be told in its correct form. Oh God, the stories. And for your creatives out there that do dabble in the writing a bit or become reflective, understand that that is the connection between your consciousness concerning your history and your experiences. What was I trying to say here? I'm getting lost in thought. Well, and your stories. That's where, you know, a lot of the fiction that people write, it comes from their experiences. It just doesn't come out of thin air. A lot of it is invented and stuff. It can be imaginative. That is good too. But when you combine that with a structure of a lived life, you're onto something there. So go with that. Now I'm just ranting and raving. But folks, anyway, I just finished this one and I had to post it and get it up there while it's that's pretty much dry now, I imagine. But I'll be taking it in to get some photocopies. As I said, this young man's not going to be familiar with the comics, that sort of thing. More familiar with the movie. But just the same, I would like to get him familiar with some of this stuff here. You know, some of the first appearances of Doctor Strange by Ditko, right? Steve Ditko. Introduce him to that time. And, you know, what can I say? Even I'm not really appreciative of Ditko's work. It's always seemed off-putting to me. But, you know, origins are origins. And this character was definitely a Ditko character. And get him familiar with that. And then show him some of the comic book art of yesteryear. Because that's definitely something I'll be interested in doing. A lot of the Bronze Age sort of stuff, right? And we'll take a peek at a thing or two, right? I was looking at some things by Gil Kane. Some old Spider-Man. Oh, man, that guy's... there's something to be said for that guy, too, and I'll have to get into that later. But, yeah, I came across some stuff with some early Amazing Spider-Man stuff from the early... I guess that would be early 70s. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that. I was looking through my one of my Essentials books, Amazing Spider-Man, and came across a little Doctor Strange action in there. And I looked at some of those panels and I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'm thinking about doing some recreation, or what do you call it? Not recreations. Yeah, I guess you could call it recreation. Take a panel and then draw it myself. And, you know, put my own stamp on it as a tribute to Gil Kane, as a tribute to the character, whatever. Just to have some fun. Put up some more line work. But more comic booky there. Yeah, a lot could be said about Gil. Wow, I'm really finding that out, that he was... just to touch on that, but not explore it in this video, just to say that Gil was off and running when it came to dynamic poses and stuff, and hitting the figure at different angles in a very realistic manner, where you could look at the form and say, wow, this is an actual figure. It might as well be painted or drawn on top of an actual... Like, it's just so good, so good. And I recently found out that he had an interest in gymnastics for a while. And that it's so amazing because, you know, what followed after Gil Kane with guys like Ross Andru coming in, again, that enthusiasm for a dynamic action figure jumping about at different angles, right? Where you could see at every angle, the muscle bellies, the contours were all just like so perfect. And I used to look at it, I guess, oh, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and I'd say, you know, these guys were onto something. It looks like, you know, where would you learn about such figure work? And you could only be from something like gymnastics. And then I found out Gil Kane was interested in gymnastics, and I thought, oh yeah, okay, this is going to be worth studying, right? So yeah, definitely want to look at that. Uh, but one of his images were inspiring me, yeah, to do a recreation of some of the panel work. And there's some other stuff too. I've seen some fantastic stuff done in original work online and stuff, but I don't have access to a lot of that in the sense that I can't really put it up. Well, I suppose some of it I could put it up on my laptop and take a look and sketch it out, but I'd like something a little bit bigger to do that with. Blow it up onto a large piece of paper and really look at it. But anyway, that's for another time. But yeah, I definitely want to introduce him to the genesis of these things and show him how these things developed. But at the same time, just keep an overall enthusiasm for the medium and see if there's anything there to inspire. Because I'm seeing something here. I'm not telling everything because it's far too. It's you know it's that just wouldn't be fair. I'd like to let things unfold and see what will develop. And if nothing, well, at least it'll just be a positive gesture, and I hope it'll impact him in a positive way, even though it's coming from a guy that's not always the most positive and is quite disgruntled, you know. Um, and yeah, I'd like to see how this is going to unfold, and I want to handle it with care. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for sharing, and yeah, you know, I don't know if anyone's curious about these skin tones or the hair, the way it was done, or anything you ever see on the drawing. Um, yeah, you know, feel free to ask. I don't care. You know, I have no dog in this race, so to speak. I'm learning things and I'm sharing what I'm learning. There's no need to hoard it. Not at this stage in the game. Anyway, thanks for joining. We'll see you in the next one.